We get started. So we can see how long this meeting can last, and we'll get going. So welcome to the Plan Commission for the City of Hudson on Thursday, July 24th. Meeting's called to order. Discussion, possible action on June 19th, 2014 meeting minutes. Any changes or additions?
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next order is discussion and possible action on amendments to Chapter 202, signs in regard to Section 202-65 Master Sign Plan to increase the number of freestanding signs allowed and increase the square footage allowance. Mr. Darnold?
This request for Plan Commission consideration of a possible amendment came from a discussion with Mr. David Robson and Mr. Brian Zeller from Hudson Center LLC. Hudson Center is the new commercial development on north side of Crestview Drive and west of Gateway Boulevard, which was the former visitor center, with a potential number of businesses that may locate in there. They were wanting to pursue a master sign plan approval, but looking at the criteria that the maximum number of signs, you can have 2, and the maximum square footage per sign is 135 square feet, may not be sufficient for that large of a development. So I agreed for the Planning Commission to discuss the issue, whether you want to propose any amendments for the council consideration or not, it's up to you. But in my review, I did take a look at how something might be structured, and as far as and of course, any master sign plan has to go through a conditional use permit review process, so there is a public hearing required. There can be conditions placed on any approvals, and so I looked at some possible criteria for considerations, one being, could it be based on the amount of linear foot frontage that a development may have, which, the larger the development is, the linear foot frontage you may have, and that would allow more signs. The other consideration is the square foot allowance for signs. 135 square feet is the size we allow for freestanding signs for a single sign. The whole purpose of this master sign plan is to take multiple lots, multiple buildings, multiple businesses, try to consolidate the signage on 1, 2, or 3 signs and reduce the number of freestanding signs that may be up there, which would be 45 feet high and up to 135 square feet. And then also look at the overall aesthetics of the signs. I think, for example, you look at the signs over in Banterra that are on the east side of Carmichael Road. Those signs are, they have two support. They're attractive signs. But even that, under those signs, there could be some additional signage that could potentially. Those are 135 square foot of area. Even with that, there could be some additional signage without really, I think, distracting from the signs themselves. Mr. Robson's here tonight. I don't know, David, if you want to make some comments, or...
I'm here to provide information if they need it, and ask Mr. Carson. Have they seen renderings of the signs?
Not specifically, no.
What we're thinking about doing is something that looks a little more like a monument sign than a pylon sign, but it would be considered a pylon sign because of the height.
We call them freestanding. Technically, they're called freestanding signs in our ordinance.
Right, so this is actually modeled after a development that's in Arbor Lakes, which is by Maple Grove. Theirs has stone in it. We want to stay with brick because that's kind of what we've done in our developments, and it's more timely, or it's not going to look dated as easily. And then I also have some site plans of the development showing kind of where we anticipate placing those signs. It's a little hard to see because 3 locations are. One there, this is the storm pond. One there, there's a tree right here, and then there's another one there.
Visible only from the freeway?
Yeah, they'll be on the freeway, yep. And obviously the purpose is people wanting to get a tractor, 80,000 cars a day on the freeway. There, and there.
Now, David, are you gonna have some on the other side too, or not? They're gonna be all
We're
on the
not building
building?
any signs on the other side at all just building signage. Doesn't mean that at some point we wouldn't want to, if we did anything at all, at this entrance where you go into
Yeah.
Walmart, we might put a monument sign here. But at this point, we're not asking for that,
Okay,
okay? We would obviously have to come back to get approval for that.
So it would be 30 total tenant spots.
And there was some discussion with Danny, because he goes, why would you need 30 sign panels?
Yeah, that's what I was
Well,
wondering.
2 retail buildings alone could have 14 tenants. That leaves 16 possible signs for the rest of the buildings. We anticipate at least 10 buildings, and there could be more multiple 10 buildings, multi-tenant buildings in there. And this would eliminate any other pylon signs within the development. Otherwise, we could have 10 pylon signs within the
Right,
development.
right.
And we prefer to have 3. A little larger, to place on the freeway, not in the center of the development.
So
Maybe more
the,
traffic.
yeah, so the general intent still is to try to consolidate the signage, so there's fewer signs, but a little bit larger allowance. Now, David's discussion of having them along the freeway, you get your traffic's running a little bit faster, of course, 65 miles an hour versus 40 or 45 miles an hour on Carmichael Road. Again, that might be one reason. Now, I would say if you can go to the larger signs, that we should have some maximum signage allowance for one business. I mean, we don't want one business to have all the signage on one sign.
Right.
So there might, maybe a maximum of 65 or 70 square feet, which would be approximately,
I think that'll help because we intend to lease these signs to people, because we're gonna build them, pay for them, they're gonna have to lease them from us. Each sign panel's gonna cost them $250 a month. So if somebody wanted all of the signs on one sign, they would have to pay $2,500 a month. You're not gonna do that. But you can sure make that part of the ordinance. I'm not trying to get in your way by any means, but cost alone would prohibit it.
No, that's about the cost of a billboard,
Right.
yeah.
so somebody probably would.
$2,500 a month would be a lot, though, but yeah. And we don't want to have one company be on there, because otherwise we're gonna have trouble with the rest of the business game. Well, why did I get that? I had a discussion with a user that was talking to me today about, well, shouldn't there be some ability to have a larger sign if you have more square footage? Yeah, maybe it's so, and maybe what we could do is we could give somebody 2 panels.
2 panels, yeah.
I'm not gonna give them 4 panels, I'm not gonna give them 12 panels, I'm not gonna, Caribou, initially, until we get more tenants in there, wants to have 1 panel on 2 signs, just to have more notoriety that they're there and that they have a drive-through. I'm guaranteed it's gonna say drive-through on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're gonna have 1 sign panel on each of the east and west signs, just to make sure that people know they're there. But once the other tenants come along, we can take that second one away from them. Okay? Nobody else today, other than one today, said, could we get more? Okay? But again, I envision maybe 2, because of the cost. Okay? But again, we're fine with whatever you guys decide. We just we're trying to find something that's a little more workable. We've got problems where, in the Ventura development already, where there's people that want to have signage in there that can't have it because we're full.
Mm-hmm.
So we may come back and I have to check and see physically if we can put more signs in on those signs, because of the structure of the signs. If we add 2 more signs, just now the structure of the poles not handle what we were trying to do, we sure don't want to have it tip over. That would be embarrassing.
so your individual panels, Lee Center, this presentation is approximately 30 square feet, 3 by 10, approximately.
So, yeah, they're about 3 by 10, yeah. I think it's 30 feet tall, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the ones in Banterra are 2.5 by 10. So they're similar.
So if we wanted to do this, what do we need to do, Danny?
Well, it's, the sign ordinance itself does not require, a minimum does not require a public hearing review, because it's not under the zoning, but it would have, the recommendation would have to go to the common council, and there be an ordinance written, and common council can consider the ordinance. I probably wouldn't be able to have it ready till August 18th if there's a recommendation that we want to forward for the August 18th meeting.
I'll make a motion to move it forward and to amend the ordinance what's the ordinance number? 202-6C, would it have to be?
Yeah, yeah, the master sign plan.
For the master sign plan to lot for three of these signs versus the two.
Do we want to do it on that linear frontage at 600 feet as a standard, so?
Yeah, whatever you feel is how it should be, yeah.
Is there a second?
Then, yeah, then all, I mean, you got the square footage, you got the number, and then, so, I mean, the square footage is currently 135, you want to enlarge that, I was suggesting that up to 270. Again, this is a conditional use permit, that doesn't mean somebody comes in with a request for 270 square feet that we have to permit it. You can go up to that amount. So, I mean, we'd have some flexibility to say, no, we think that, could be a little bit smaller.
But this sign wouldn't fit because it's more than that.
Pardon?
This sign proposed is more than 270.
Well, then we'd have to, 300, whatever, I mean,
300, I think.
300 square feet, I mean, whatever that number, the 270, I was just essentially doubling the size of the,
Yeah, because it's 300, right? Roughly 300.
so you want to go to 300, that's fine. And also the height of the sign, right now it's at 35, all of our freestanding signs go up to 45 feet, so we'd want to change that to 45 feet maximum too.
Okay. Now is there a second? I'll second. Yes.
How do you determine, I mean, you're looking at 3 freestanding here. What determines the number of freestanding?
The linear, well, I'm recommending the linear foot that's on I-94, which is 1 per 600 linear foot.
Okay.
So they'd have to have I mean, if another development came in, like Banterra has enough linear foot under the 1 per 600, they can have 2 signs. But if another development came in, we'll say example would be the dog track site, where you may have
2,000 square feet.
you may have, some additional, but it's a conditional use permit. So, well, one, are they gonna ask for that much signage, but it gives some criteria. So I went to the 600 to try to get it on the far side of, under the, so again, it's a conditional use permit, so the city has some discretion on review and recommendations.
Kevin, you have some questions?
The brick is not considered part of the sign?
No, the brick, as any support structure, is not part of the sign.
And we're mostly just trying to make them attractive. I can show you, I think I got a picture of the one that we modeled it after. I can show you all.
Right now, the support has to be 1/3 the width of the sign minimally. Here, you've got it actually greater than the width of the sign, so it provides a little more aesthetics to the sign itself. So.
I like it better this way, because there's some signs in town,
We did one all the on top of it.
You're right.
the
Yeah, I
Stonewood
like that.
furniture sign is a good example. It's within compliance, but because of the way Hanley turns, sometimes we struggle to see around that sign, at least I have. And so it's nice that they're on the freeway side, you don't have to worry about that with all the cross traffic at Crestview. So I'd rather give them
More signs.
the extra space to do it that way.
That's a huge development, though.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
But they only allow just very large users to be on these signs. We're a smaller development, we're doing it differently.
And none of these are visible only from one direction then?
Double list.
Well, that's his.
Wasn't me.
This is what we modeled it after.
Maybe two-sided.
Oh, yeah,
So it'll be two-sided.
yeah.
So you'd be able to see it from east and west sides.
Yeah, no, as I was saying when you were talking, that I think I prefer the signs on the freeway side. I was saying there's some signs in town where you struggle to see around the bend of some of the roads, even though they're in compliance, because they're
Right.
solid and they're towards the end, and with Walmart and how busy Crestview gets, that's much safer.
And this wouldn't work along the freeway along Crestview because you wouldn't be able to see it. around,
Right.
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 We eliminated all the stuff on the top because we didn't.
Right, no, I just think it's the signage in general on that side is safer.
Any Any other discussion? Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other items for potential business for upcoming agendas?
Move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For adjourn. Thank you.
Thanks all.